Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Off the Top Rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network on YouTube. Interesting topic for y'all today. Everybody thinks I hate AEW. I want it to do well, but I want to use these videos as context to provide to AEW and any fan out there who loves AEW, and hell, Tony Khan, just to send a message to like how cold your product is. And the topic at hand here is I'm going to pit TNA Wrestling against AEW, which is consensus among the vast array of wrestling fans, is these are the number 2 and number 3 promotions in North America. WWE, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, is clearly the best wrestling promotion in North America. It's above all of these companies, like pretty much combined, because of just like, the revenue they generate, the ticket sales, the ratings, everything, the money, all you name it, the way that they build their stories and everything. But there is a need, obviously, for people to work and have an alternative. And TNA Wrestling, it's really amazing that this company has been around for 20 years and has had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. But I think, and coming off of their Victory Road pay-per-view in San Antonio on Friday, this company is honestly in as best of a spot as they have ever been, as good of a spot as they have ever been, because you've got this partnership, obviously, with NXT that's given them more visibility. You've got a rising star who has gone viral and is one of the most popular people in the entire wrestling business in Joe Hendry. You've got a healthy mix of veterans and rising stars within that promotion. And then on top of it, you're crossing over to NXT, which, yes, it is the developmental brand, but it is increasing in popularity in its own right. You've got maybe the best women's wrestler out there in Jordynne Grace as well, who is probably going to be in WWE. I hate to break it to TNA, but she is still under contract and she's having a dominant title reign. The point here is, when you compare and contrast where TNA is now and where AEW is, remove all of the fact that that TNA is on Access TV and AEW is on Turner and Warner Brothers Discovery and is on the verge of getting a television contract. You put these products side by side, it's really close. It's really close. And in terms of engaging characters with also some great matches and the veterans and just the work and a lot of their stories in between shows is very interesting. Commentary's great with Tom Phillips and Matt Rainwald, the former Aiden English. This TNA is really on the rise in a lot of respects. I don't expect it to ever be where it was in the early 2000s, the early to late 2000s, when Kurt Angle was there, when Christian was there, when Booker T, Main Event Mafia, Sting was there, and then Hulk Hogan just came in there and screwed everything up. And this company really has never recovered from that with Hulk Hogan and also Dixie Carter. And Dixie did some good things there, but everybody thought that this company was going to be in trouble when Scott D'Amore got fired. And what's crazy is they had a massive crowd in Montreal, 4,000 people, and AEW fans who want to snicker at small attendance numbers. Hey, they're selling out smaller buildings. They recognize what they are. And I think that's the big difference between TNA and AEW. AEW has all of this talent, all of this bravado, this major network that they're on. And I don't think they perform like what they are. Because they refuse to acknowledge what they are. They're a secondary promotion. You're not a knockoff WWE. And on top of that, you're not building creative enough storylines to bring people back. When you have somebody like TNA does, like a Joe Hendry, people are going to watch that. And when they have a partnership and they're willing to work with WWE and NXT, that heightens interest, and that's benefited them. The system, I love Moose. I think he is a fucking awesome wrestler. He's one of the best entrances in the game. Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, the former Johnny Curtis, or Fandango, is also in there, and Alicia Edwards as well. So the system is great. Mike Bailey's awesome in the X Division. They had Mustafa Ali for a while. And Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, has been fucking great in TNA ever since he got there. Because he is being utilized in a way that WWE refused to utilize him in, as a workhorse. And we all love Dolph Ziggler. Like, he was, honest to God, one of the breaths of fresh air in that place when they just refused to push him. And so it's awesome to see him doing really, really well as the World Heavyweight Champion. Hell, Frankie Kazarian, he kind of flamed out he's been in TNA a lot. He goes to AEW as part of SCU, and he leaves, and now he's really, honestly, one of the more interesting parts on the heel side there. Josh Alexander had a very good heel turn. Like, I could keep going in terms of how great TNA is right now. And the only difference I have between TNA and AEW is they don't have any high-priced wrestlers, and they're on a lesser network. But right now, they're a better product. Because what is so great about AEW right now? Bryan Danielson is the world champion. Great, you suffocated him. Congratulations. The Hangman Swerve thing is off the table now because they blew off that feud for the time being. Hangman can't even get TV time over Chris Jericho. What are we doing? When you talk about the women's division, yeah. AEW is a lot better. Mercedes Moné has definitely brought up, the work rate. She is still a phenomenal wrestler. But every time she's on the screen doing anything other than wrestling, it's nails on a chalkboard. And her gimmick is ice cold. Camille is being dragged down in this, which is crazy. You've got Mariah May. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Mariah May. She beats Toni Storm in a landmark victory, and she has done absolutely, positively nothing since winning that championship 3-4 weeks ago. It's like, what are we doing? Bryan Danielson's going to inevitably lose the championship. You can go watch the video of me kind of breaking down the main event scene and how wrong I think it is in AEW. Hangman Adam Page should absolutely be at the top of the card. This guy has been fantastic. He may be the best thing in professional wrestling, but you wouldn't know it because he's barely on television. He gets one segment a week, if any, and Chris Jericho's getting a match and a segment. What sense is there in that? So I encourage people who watch this video to give TNA a chance, because I know a lot of people will run away by a lot of the Hulk Hogan stuff, and then they reimagine this thing. They had the GFW merger with Jeff Jarrett. Ironically, Jeff Jarrett's actually a redeeming part of AEW. He's one of the founders of TNA. So, yeah, but you just put it side by side and you piece everything together in terms of roster construction, recognizing who they are, the amount of money they have invested in talent on their roster, the way they utilize it. I just think TNA's better right now. That's just the way it is, because when I look at AEW, if they presented themselves a little differently, they didn't try to fill up like 18,000 seat arenas and only have 15 to 25% filled, I may have a different opinion about it. But part of why this company is so cold is the interest is down, the ratings are down, the attendance is down, and a lot of it has to do with creative decisions that they've been making. And a TV deal is not going to change that. And I think part of what makes Impact and TNA so great right now is they recognize what the hell they are. They're a second, third tier promotion, but they're interesting. That pay-per-view on Friday night, Victory Road, like Joe Hendry and Josh Alexander had a match, and the finish of this match, if you haven't watched it, go see it, because this was awesome. Joe Hendry had been kicked in the balls twice and lost two of the biggest matches of his career for the World Championship. Josh Alexander goes to do this while the referee is down, and Joe Hendry is wearing a cup with his head on it, and then hits the standing ovation and then puts an ankle lock in to add insult to injury to Josh Alexander and wins the match. And Joe Hendry looks like he's going to be challenging for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, probably at Bound for Glory. That is how you book one of your mainstays. You don't beat them down. And it's just like, it's easy when you have a likable character who's been booked really well and has a cool, unique gimmick about it. Like, TNA understands what they are. Hell, JBL is showing up in TNA now. He is like the great protector of Nick Nemeth. JBL 20 years ago was a racist character. He is getting JBL chants. TNA really is lit right now. It's crazy because for the longest time, and it's hard to watch some of these things, and sometimes I predominantly watch the stuff through clips, and occasionally I'll catch a couple of matches here and there. But a lot of the stuff they do side by side, it's just better than what you see on a week-to-week basis from AEW. And when you have the money invested, you have all of this talent that you've brought in to try and beef up your roster, and nothing's changing. And then you look at another company who's never going to reach those heights, but their content is way better than yours. So I hope that anybody who watches this video and is an AEW defender understands that, hey, just because you have a big, massive TV deal coming in, you might be getting a fourth show that nobody's probably going to watch, and you have all of these cool new shiny toys that you've brought in from other promotions and bought off, doesn't make you a great wrestling promotion. You can have all the bells and whistles around you, but TNA is doing it at a much lower level, and it's a better product right now. So I hope everybody takes a look at all this and, maybe gives TNA a little bit more of a chance. Bound for Glory is in Detroit this year. Going to be very exciting. And we'll see if they finally pull the trigger on Joe Hendry. Like, I am the vice president, or I'm kind of in like the court of the Joe Hendry fan club, because that guy is just, again, who does that? Has a cup with their name on it, not with their name on it, with their head on it, to win a wrestling match. That was just so awesome. So it's an entertaining product, and it's like, I hope that because here's the other thing. Before I get out of here. TNA had a loose partnership with AEW about 3 years ago when Kenny Omega won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And it led to basically nothing. Moose appeared. Moose ended up going to Jacksonville where Kenny Omega... But nothing happened. Kenny Omega just beat everybody up. And it took a while for this company to kind of build up some momentum. But now, with the help of this NXT partnership with Jordan Grace, honestly, crossing the line. That's the TNA tagline. Jordan Grace crossing the line, and now you've seen multiple TNA stars show up there. Hammerstone showed up to face Obafemi. You have Joe Hendry, obviously. The Rascals having a great storyline with Wes Lee, which is real because they were teaming together for the longest time. This is only going to grow. It's only going to get better for them. You're already seeing the genuine interest beef up with them. Granted, they're never going to go to like a major arena. That's never been TNA's thing. And I think that's part of the reason why they've had staying power, is they're not losing money by going to 18,000 seat buildings and filling up with like 2,000-3,000 people. So if anything, if you're an AEW fan, or even if you're a TNA fan, it's just like the lesson here is, know who you are, because neither of these companies are ever going to equal what WWE is. It's nice to have alternatives, but I would rather be a promotion like a TNA and be an alternative in that fashion, and not have to pay an inordinate sum of money to all my wrestlers just to make myself feel better about myself. I'd rather have a talented roster who's motivated. There's a lot of talented people backstage. Gail Kim, Tommy Dreamer's there. There's a lot of really talented people in that company, but they're not getting paid the numbers that a lot of people in AEW are. So if there's anything that can be learned from this video, I would just say, know who you are and stop pretending to be something that you're not. And I think until AEW admits that, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, and they'll still rate better than TNA. I don't think TNA is going to beat AEW anytime soon, but it's a better product. And I hope that people, more people start to recognize that and give TNA some respect. Because for the longest time, they were the number 2, alternative promotion, and they brought in a bunch of these stars and were paying them a lot of money. And then a lot of things just went haywire with Hogan and Bischoff coming in. They tried to go up against Raw. They made that mistake, and I don't think they've ever recovered from that. In terms of being on that level. but now they've made their mainstay as like, this secondary third promotion. And there's just a lot of interesting and good people in that promotion. And NXT clearly has recognized that because they're highlighting some of those people on their show and letting them bring their championships on their show. So that's this edition of Off the Top Rope. Hope you enjoyed that topic. We'll have AEW Dynamite reaction right after the show on Wednesday. Also SmackDown on Friday. A lot of different wrestling topics. Also a lot of great sports topics. The Off the Mic Sports Network is the perfect blend between sports and sports entertainment. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. OT Mike Sports on Twitter. Off the Mic 28 if you want to follow me. Always appreciate it. All the love and support. Love you guys. Bye-bye.